the other thing I got going on here is I got to drain out my pond, because what happened was we had, like I said, a week worth of horrible rain, and this pond is located right on these mango tree. A bunch of mangoes fell in here along with a bunch of branches and leaves, and it just sat for a week. Wasn't able to clean it out for a whole week, and this is our result. So I got to drain this thing out, completely clean it. Fish are resilient, because as you can see, there's still fish in there, you know. But yeah, that's a hell of a job right here. But the good thing about it is I'm draining to the garden here, and that's actually great fertilizer. So there is a plus, there's a positive in everything. You just gotta be willing to see it. See, after a whole week of not being out here, there's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to be done. Like, you know, the work never stops. Just because you're not able to do the work at the current time doesn't mean the work is gonna stop. Work is just gonna keep piling up. So when you are able to go do it, you know, then you're just gonna have more to do. This looks like it might be a pepper, so I'm not gonna, this might be a stray pepper. So I'm gonna do with him is just enforce the root and keep an eye on this guy. But the tomatoes, look at these tomatoes. These tomatoes are doing very, very well. So all I'm doing now is I'm just gonna get rid of some of these leaves that's touching the ground and let the suckers go ahead and grow up. Can't stress enough about how much nature is always going to win, because, you know, without interference of man, nature is always going to take control and do what she's supposed to do. For instance, this is a man-made garden I got going on in here, but here's the problem: a little bit of neglect from me, and nature takes it back over and does what it wants to do with it. It's just like the society, this, you know, created society that we live in, because everything, you know, listen, everything that you have to go to, everything that you have to pay for is a created society. I don't care what you want to tell me. You understand? Because we're the only people, we're the only species on planet Earth that have to pay to live. No one else. No other species on planet Earth pays to live, right? For instance, you see the cat that was just over here? He's back there somewhere now. But he doesn't have to pay any mortgage. He doesn't have to pay any taxes. He doesn't have to pay for food at the grocery store. His payment is his labor. What he's got to pay is to live is his labor. That's all he's got to pay. He's got to put in enough labor in life for him to be able to eat food. You know, he's got to put enough labor enough for him to find a place to comfortably sleep at night. And if he or she chooses to have babies, they got to find a safe place to have their babies and to raise their babies. And none of this costs anything. None of that costs anything, right? They go through life and they do their contribution to life, to the ecosystem. Because just like I was telling them just now, hey, get rid of that frog, because, you know, that's what you guys do. You guys chase things that move, and the frog is moving. So, you know, chase it, dude. That's your part. I mean, to say, but without man's, just to get back on point, without man's interference, without my interference of nature and coming in here every day and weeding out this garden and turning the pumpkin to where it needs to go and pruning the tomatoes and all the rest of it, you know, digging out the weeds and, you know, treating for fertilizer and everything else, the nature will take this land back and do what it seems fit. So this is why there's such a push to keep mankind away from nature so much and dependent on medicines and supermarkets and media and, you know, all these man-made additions to society. You see, when you peel back all the layers of the onions, all of that stuff is not necessary. You know, there's none of it that's actually necessary for us, for our survival, or for us to even thrive. You understand? But somewhere along the line, we've been bamboozled, and you know, that's part of it. We got to kind of realize that, hey, we've been bamboozled, and this what we know as civilization is made up. It's man-made, and without man's interference, everyday interference, to keep this civilization going, nature will take it over. Nature will take it over. As you can see what's going on right now in the world. Nature's taking back over. You know, and believe it or not, one of the reasons that nature is able to take back over is strictly because of the pressures that we've been going through. Like, for instance, COVID-19. COVID-19 allowed the country, or the world, I'm gonna say the country because I don't know what's going on with the rest of the world, because my only sources of the rest of the world is the media, and we know how they work. Because of COVID-19, we had to shut down. You know, we had to shut down as a society pretty much, right? So what happens is, what we saw take place is that because society was shut down, there was a lot less interference with nature. So we started to see nature slowly starting to take over. We saw in some cities, you know, where, you know, wild animals were roaming free in the cities because humans were locked down inside of our houses. And this is part of what is contributing to this age of Aquarius, the Great Awakening, because that's all coming from nature. That's all coming from nature. And because of the lack of interference with, you know, with nature to keep the system in place, a lot of eyes are opening. A lot of minds are open. I can't even say eyes because, you know, our eyes is what feeds us the illusions. But a lot of minds are opening. A lot of minds are opening, and it's not to be stopped. But because of that, you see a lot of pressure to separate everyone. Everything in the media is pushing division. You know, division against Republican versus Democrat, and, you know, division. You have they pulling in white supremacists, which is, there's not many white supremacists out there. They pulling in black extremists. They're saying, which you don't have many people. Listen, people love people. On a whole, people love people. Yes, there are exceptions to the rule, exceptions to every rule. But what do you focus on? When you look at a rose, are you going to choose to look at the thorns and focus on the thorns of the rose? No, you're looking at the petals. You're looking at the petals, you know, and you're looking at the rosebud itself, you know, and you might even take some time and look at the leaves, because there's always a couple or three, right? So the thorns are there. Thorns are definitely there, but just because you're not looking at them, that means you're not focusing on them. It's just like the rest of the world. You know, when you look at the world, what are you going to look at? Are you going to look at all the beauty in the world, or are you going to look at the very small portions of the bad in the world? You know, it's all up to you. What do you want to see? So just like how Rome wasn't built in a day, is the same way that any real major change that has to take place, it's not going to take place in a day. So saying that to say, there is a big ball of energy going on right now, which everyone is aware, or everyone is at least talking about some of the injustices that are done in the US. And We need that. That's long overdue. You know, there's a lot of conversations that are happening that really need to take place. But saying that to say, change is not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be just the conversations that's going to do it. It's not going to be just voting that's going to change anything. It's not going to be simply protesting that's going to change anything. And it's not going to be any individual that's going to change anything, especially not overnight. But a combination of all of those things, along with some persistence, and we possibly will see some good change. Like I always say, I love to learn from you guys. So anything you see or hear that you have any insight on, please share your knowledge. There are people that watch the videos and there are people that read the comments. So please share your knowledge. We all would love to learn. And with that being said, never forget, if you're a subscriber to the channel, you're my #1 fan. And if you're not a subscriber to the channel, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. Turn your notifications on. Like, share, comment. See you next time.